Imagine a starving baby. In front of it are two mothers. One is made of cold, hard wire, but she has milk, food, survival. The other is made of soft cloth, warm, comforting, but she has no food at all. Nothing to keep the baby alive. The baby chooses the soft one, almost every time. It clings to the cloth mother that cannot feed it, and only darts over to the wire one for a few desperate seconds to drink, before rushing back to the comfort of the one that's letting it starve. Why would any living creature choose comfort over food, over survival itself? That single strange choice cracked open one of the biggest mysteries in all of human life. What love actually is, and why we need it. But the man who discovered this beautiful truth did it through experiments so cruel they helped launch a movement against him. Today, the disturbing experiment that revealed how love really works and what it proves about the deepest need inside you. To understand why this experiment mattered so much, you have to understand what science believed about love back in the 1950s, and it was shockingly cold. Back then, the leading theory was that love wasn't really a need at all. It was a side effect. The dominant idea, held by the biggest schools of psychology, was that a baby only bonds with its mother because she feeds it. In other words, love was basically a transaction. The mother is a food machine, and the baby loves the food machine because it provides food. Affection, comfort, cuddling, these were considered unimportant, even harmful. Parenting experts of the era literally warned mothers and fathers not to hold their children too much, not to be too affectionate, because they'd spoil them. Hospitals and orphanages kept babies clean and fed but barely touched, and those babies were wasting away, and no one understood why. Into this cold world came a psychologist named Harry Harlow, who suspected the experts had it catastrophically wrong. He believed love and comfort weren't luxuries, that they were a real fundamental need, and he designed an experiment with baby monkeys to prove it once and for all. 3 things to watch for as we go, because this story turns from beautiful to dark to genuinely moving. First, the simple, heartbreaking choice those baby monkeys made, and how completely it destroyed the old theory. Second, the far darker experiments Harlow went on to run, the ones that made him one of the most condemned scientists of his century. And third, the world-changing, deeply human truth all of it revealed. A truth that may be the most important thing anyone ever learned about you and the people you love. Let's start in that cold world that didn't believe in love. It's genuinely hard to believe now, but for a large part of the 20th century, mainstream science treated human affection as almost dangerous. The 2 most powerful movements in psychology at the time agreed on this for different reasons. The behaviorists saw humans as input-output machines and believed a baby's bond to its mother was simply a learned association. Mother equals food, so the baby seeks the mother the way it seeks a full stomach. And the dominant psychoanalytic thinking also tied the bond primarily to feeding. Both landed in the same cold place. Love is downstream of food. It's not a need in itself. It's just the shadow cast by hunger. And this wasn't just abstract theory, it shaped how real children were raised. Influential experts advised parents to keep affection to a minimum. Don't pick the baby up every time it cries. Don't shower it with kisses and cuddles. You'll make it weak, dependent, spoiled. Show love through provision and discipline, not through warmth. An entire generation was raised by the rulebook that touch was a treat to be rationed, not a need to be met. The most heartbreaking evidence was in institutions. In many orphanages and hospitals, babies were kept scrupulously clean, fed on strict schedules, protected from germs, and almost never held or cuddled, partly to prevent infection, partly because affection was thought unnecessary. And those infants, despite having all their physical needs met, often became withdrawn, sick, developmentally stunted. Some simply faded and died, with no physical cause anyone could find. There was a hole in these children that food and hygiene could not fill, and because science didn't believe love was a real need, no one could see what was killing them. Harlow looked at all of this and asked the question no one had properly tested. What if comfort itself? Being held, warmth, touch is not a luxury but a biological need as real as food. And he built a cruel, brilliant experiment to force nature to answer. Having proven that love is a need, Harlow could have stopped. He didn't, and what came next is why his name is spoken with as much horror as respect. First, he studied fear. He'd place a baby monkey in a strange room with frightening objects. With the cloth mother present, the baby would cling to her first, then, reassured, gather the courage to explore the scary new world. But when he removed the cloth mother, the same baby fell apart, freezing, screaming, rocking, too terrified to explore anything. It revealed something profound. A loved creature is a brave creature. Comfort isn't what makes us weak and dependent. It's the secure base that makes us bold enough to face the world. But proving it meant deliberately terrifying infants. And then Harlow went to a place that many consider unforgivable. He wanted to understand what happens when a young mind is deprived of love and contact entirely. So he raised some monkeys in total isolation, alone, with no mother, no comfort, no other living creature for months at a time. He built isolation chambers, one of which he himself gave a chilling name, the Pit of Despair. I won't dwell on the details because they're genuinely distressing, but the results were devastating and permanent. These isolated monkeys came out profoundly broken. They couldn't relate to other monkeys. They rocked and clutched themselves endlessly. They were fearful, then aggressive. Many never recovered for the rest of their lives. And females raised this way, when they later became mothers themselves, were often unable to care for their own babies. The experiment proved, with brutal clarity, the flip side of the beautiful finding. If love is a fundamental need, then depriving a young mind of it causes catastrophic, lasting damage. Here is where we have to be honest, because this channel doesn't do comfortable myths. Harlow's later experiments were cruel. There's no softening it. The suffering he inflicted was real and severe, and by any modern standard, it was indefensible. His work became one of the sparks that ignited the animal rights movement and led to the strict rules that protect research animals today. Some critics argue, fairly, that the cruelest studies mostly confirmed what any lonely person already knows, that isolation destroys you, and that the knowledge wasn't worth the suffering. And there's a dark irony. Harlow himself struggled with severe depression and turned toward the of experiments on despair as his own life darkened. That's context. It is not an excuse. Two things are true at once, and the field has never fully reconciled them. His findings were real and important, and his methods caused genuine, unjustifiable suffering. So we're left with an uncomfortable question. Did any good come from this? And the honest answer is, an enormous amount, for humans, which is exactly what makes the moral weight of it so hard to carry. Because Harlow's central discovery, that love and contact are fundamental needs, didn't stay in a monkey lab. It rippled out and quietly changed how the entire human world cares for its children. Remember those babies wasting away in sterile institutions, kept fed but untouched? Harlow's work, alongside the attachment researchers it empowered, gave undeniable proof of what those children were dying from: a lack of love. It provided the hard evidence behind attachment theory, the now foundational understanding of how crucial the early bond between a child and a caregiver truly is. And that changed real practices all over the world. Orphanages and hospitals were reformed to prioritize holding, touching, and comforting infants, not just feeding them. Maternity wards began placing newborns skin to skin on their mothers' chests instead of whisking them away. The advice to parents flipped completely. From "don't spoil them with affection" to "hold your babies, love is not optional." And decades later, science caught up and explained why Harlow was right at the deepest level. We now know that physical touch is not just emotionally nice, it's biologically regulatory. Being held and comforted actually lowers the stress hormone cortisol and releases oxytocin, the bonding chemical, calming a body's entire nervous system. Harlow's soft cloth mother was standing in for a real, measurable biological system. He discovered the truth of it decades before anyone could explain the mechanism underneath. So this is the tension you have to hold, and it doesn't resolve neatly. A series of experiments that caused real, terrible suffering also helped save and heal countless human children by proving that love is a need, not a luxury. The cruelty was real. The good was real. Both are true, and pretending otherwise, in either direction, would be a lie. What we can do is make sure the suffering bought something that's never wasted, the truth. And that truth turns out to be about you. So what does a monkey clinging to a cloth doll have to do with your life right now? Everything. Because you are that baby, we all are. And Harlow's discovery is one of the most quietly liberating truths in all of psychology. First, and most important, your need for love, comfort, and touch is not a weakness. It is not neediness. It is not too much. It is a fundamental biological human need, as real and as built-in as hunger. So many of us have absorbed that old, cold lie, that wanting affection is childish, that needing to be held is weak, that we should be self-sufficient islands. Harlow's monkeys demolished that lie. A creature will choose comfort over food, because without comfort, mere survival isn't enough to build a whole, healthy being. If you crave connection and closeness, you are not broken. You are working exactly as designed. Second, touch and presence matter far more than our busy world admits. A hug is not trivial. Holding someone you love is not just sentiment. It is literally regulating their nervous system, lowering their stress, telling their body it is safe. For your children, your partner, your friends, your aging parents, your warm presence is a biological gift, not a nicety. In a world drifting towards screens and distance, the simple act of physically being there for someone is more powerful than you think. And third, the secure base. Remember, the baby monkeys were braver when comfort was near. Love doesn't make people weak and dependent, it does the opposite. A person who feels securely loved is a person free to take risks, explore, and grow, because they know they have somewhere safe to return to. So being a source of steady comfort for someone, for a child especially, doesn't coddle them. It builds the courage that lets them face the whole world. But hold the warning too, because it's the other half of the truth. Emotional deprivation is real damage, especially for the young. Love and presence are not extras you get to when it's convenient. For a developing human being, they are as essential as food, which is why the way we hold, or fail to hold, the people who depend on us matters more than almost anything else we do. So here's what those monkeys really taught us at such a heavy price. That baby didn't choose the cloth mother by accident. It chose comfort over food because love isn't a reward for surviving. Love is part of surviving. It's woven into what a mind needs to become whole. The way Harlow proved it was cruel and it should never be repeated, that's part of the truth too, and we don't look away from it. But the truth those creatures suffered to reveal is one worth carrying, because it can make you more human, not less. The people around you don't just need what you provide, they need you. Your warmth, your presence, your arms, it was never weakness to need that. It was the most natural thing in the world. So go hold someone you love. Turns out it matters more than science ever wanted to admit. If this one moved you, the next goes deeper still into the hidden forces shaping who we become. Subscribe and let's keep pulling these threads. This is Never Heard About.